We are talking about Apparition. This one is directed by Waymoon Boone and stars Mena Suvari and Kevin Pollak. So this is essentially a haunted, teens go into a haunted house movie. That's your basic kind of plot premise here. The movie actually tries to have something a little bit kind of an original setup. It attempts it. So let me give you a kind of a story. We have a long extended prologue at the beginning of this movie that seems a little weird. It's kind of a little bit too long for its own good. But the movie sets up, we have this young boy who has a drug addicted mother who the mother ends up getting killed and the son gets the blame for it. And then he's put in this kind of, I don't know what you'd call it really, like a kind of a juvenile delinquent sort of school, almost like a prison for kind of obviously under 18s. And this kind of prison is run by Kevin Pollak's character. And he's like the warden, and they have a few guards there. And they are particularly brutal to the young boys, bullying them, hurting them. The only kind of sympathetic character is this woman who works there, played by Mena Suvari, who's like the cook. And she's really the only kind of sympathetic character at this prison. Anyway, this one little boy ends up being too much trouble and the warden kills him. And because he's witnessed, he ends up killing, along with everyone essentially, who is not party to it. So the guards kind of like get away with it. But the kids are killed, and obviously Mena Suvari's character, because she is obviously not down for that sort of thing, is killed along with them. Then that's just your prologue. This is like a good 20-minute or so prologue. Then the movie cuts to, I think it's 20 years later, and we are introduced to the offspring of the guards and the warden, who are now all in their kind of teens. And we have this kind of group of friends, all who are bonded through the kind of the shared extended family, if you like, of these kind of like these prison guards and this ex-warden. And the prison at this point is kind of closed down. And there's this app. This is kind of the other kind of interesting idea that maybe this movie has. There is some type of app that allows you to connect to the spirit world, apparently. And this app essentially makes these kind of group of teens end up going to this now abandoned prison, inevitably to meet these kind of ghosts and stuff, which of course want revenge for the sins of the father, so to speak. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie to find out. So let's discuss what works. Well, when it's all said and done, the movie is essentially a group of teens going to haunted house. I mean, there's plenty of films like that, let's be honest. But I kind of like the idea of at least having a little bit of a different setup. I mean, the extended prologue was interesting, and to be honest with you, was probably the best part of the film, because I was invested in the kind of the life of this little boy and this sympathetic character played by Mena Suvari. Now, Kevin Pollak and Mena Suvari get the lion's share of the screen time within this kind of prologue, and they are obviously established actors, and therefore the acting on this prologue is the best acting we see in the film. And it's an extended prologue. It's an interesting kind of setup. I mean, it's a little bit unbelievable, but there you go. So that was quite good. And then the introduction to this app is, again, it's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if I entirely kind of buy it, but there you go. It's an interesting idea to get characters to go from one place to another to try and find connections. And ultimately, these kids want to try and find connections to their past. And what else can I say that's good about this film? Okay, so in our cast, we have Annalisa Cochran, who plays, I suppose, our central protagonist out the sons and daughters of these kind of guards. And I have to say, she's probably the best actress out the modern generation of protagonists. Although some of her lines are pretty bad, but that's more the script than the acting. But yeah, I'd say she gives the best performance out of all the teen cast here. And the ghost makeup is acceptable, I suppose. But let's be honest, the story here is pretty mundane, despite having a few attempts here at trying to have a spark of originality. I feel the one huge red flag that most people will pick up on with this film is the acting from the majority of the cast of our teens. It is horrible. especially when they are acting after scenes played by Mena Suvari and Kevin Pollak. Let's be honest, these are just paycheck gigs for them. But they, in their sleep, can do better performances than this lot. Like I said, our main kind of girl aside, who fares a little better, the rest of them are quite frankly awful. Terrible, terrible acting. And then that is coupled by the fact with horrendous dialogue and piss poor characterization. One of the kids is, I think he's meant to be autistic or something like that, but it's really sloppily done, I have to say. And then just a plain old logic with this film just goes out the window. I mean, the app, for example, that makes a big whole thing about, oh, the app in Apparition is obviously, oh, clever, look, you know, the title has a kind of a double entendre. But it really doesn't play that much of a big factor in the actual film itself, and I thought that was more of an afterthought than anything else. And to be honest with you, the problem that this film has as well is because it hasn't established our teens as characters, you know, until we get to it, really half an hour into the movie, we don't care about them because we have no idea who these people are. We are asked as an audience to care about characters we've only just been introduced to, when the movie spent so long trying to have sympathy for Mena Suvari's character and the kind of the boys that have been kept in this kind of this hostel. But then all of a sudden it expects us to care for a group of extremely bad actors, and it's not going to happen. So this movie, although it did have a couple of neat ideas that I think I tended to have a little bit of originality, and I did like, no, you know, I got to give it a little bit of props for that. But it was bad, unfortunately, for the most part. Like I said, I'll give it some props, but I can't give this any harder than the 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.